Noah,
Peter,
Ruth.
Job.
Oh my God, Peter. What? I was prepared for this conversation. Peter, ASAP Rocky. Peter was a thug. Peter was a thug. I'm being real with you. It was for a man to be so self-aware, just in his faults and how he's been able to have allowed God to be able to bring him to peace for his sins, to have such contentment with even being like, you know what? If I need to be single my whole life, I will. Like, God, just show me purpose. Show me purpose and use me the best way you can. Peter's a straight G. And also, too, I wouldn't be friends with him, but I feel like I would just ask him, yo, Judas, like, why'd you sell my man's out? Like, you know what I'm saying? 200 pounds, you know what I'm saying? 200, I think it was like 200, was it 200 pounds of shekels? It was like equivalent to today's time of like a pair of Yeezys. Like, you really sold my man's off with some Yeezys. I just want to know why he did it, and then I want to talk to Jesus, like, Jesus, why you didn't get my man's the hands? Because I be thinking to myself, like, ever I got conflict with people and I be ready to fight, I'm very temperamental. The only thing, and my friends will see this and they'll be like, dang, he's right. I will be like, if Jesus ain't box Judas, then I can't be mad at this person.
I would be friends with Ruth. And the reason why is because Ruth wasn't Naomi's friend. She was her daughter-in-law, but she stuck closer to her than a sibling. She told her, wherever you go, I'll go. Who your God is will be my God. Where you move, I move. She was an amazing daughter-in-law, but she gave great characteristics of what a friend should look like in relationship.
You know who would have been my friend? Paul. I like Paul. Because Paul talked a lot about like the grace that was needed, for his weaknesses. And I think that we all have weaknesses, right? And one thing that I like about Paul was how transparent he was about his weaknesses, right? But he was transparent because he wanted to show people that, I'm no different than you, but this is where my strength comes from, to be able to do certain things, not certain things, but to do all of these things that I'm doing. And I think that is a direct correlation to the way that I am as a man, and in my friendships. I have weaknesses, and I like to be vulnerable and transparent about it. And I like to, show people that I'm not doing this on my own strength, and I think that me and Paul would have connected well. I think we would have been two transparent bros, if you could say that.
The first two people that come to mind, I would say Noah, and this is probably going to sound bad, but I would have wanted to be on the ark. So I really would have needed to figure out how to be a great friend to him or to his family, because, only him and his family were saved. So I would be doing all the work. If it's helping build the ark, helping get the animals together, anything so that I could have been saved from the floods. And other than Noah, I would say Eve, because I feel like, girl, you could have just called and talked. We could have talked about the serpent, so we just wouldn't have had to be in all of this that we in today. Like, tell me what he said so I can try to talk you off that ledge.
I would want to be friends with Job, because Shawty was solid. Like, he lost everything, still was solid in his faith. And that's admirable to me, because, like, that's something that I struggle with. Trusting God when you feel that he promised you something and you lose it. It's like, Slim, what's up? Like, where you at? And just thinking if I can call Job, like, bro, how'd you get through that? How'd you stay faithful in that season?
I think I'm going to pick Peter. Because I feel like Peter, y'all know he was holy, but, he had a little hood in him. And I really appreciate that because, one, it reminds me that, like, we're all flawed, right? And so none of us are perfect. And I don't want anybody in my corner who thinks that they're perfect or, like, holier than thou. And so I appreciate that ability to be human, but also because Peter was a leader. And even though his temperament was a little off at times, my boy could really lead the pack. And I think we should surround ourselves around people who look like where we're going. So if God has called me to lead in any area of my life, I want to be around other leaders, because iron sharpens iron. But I definitely want to go back to what you said, because I think a lot of times we look at reciprocity in relationships as you have to give as much as I give.
Yeah.
And it's not that. Like, I just need for you to give on your level. I don't think that any relationship or friendship can really thrive without reciprocity. So, like, if I'm in a season of my life, I'm a graphic designer, I'm a creative. My friends are like preachers and singers and etc. And so they were like my poster children when I started designing. Like, my worst designs was like on them. And like in that season of our lives, you know, I was designing for them, and then we went out to Applebee's, and that was like my payment.
Yeah.
But now we're in another season of our lives where you
the
are
check.
the pastor of a church.
Yeah.
Cut me my check. Listen, you know? And it's just like we learn how to give to each other on the level that we're living on at that moment in time.
It's
and I
quality
think that
over
if you can
quantity.
do that, if you can do that, just give on your level.
But you have to be understanding of the level that the person
Absolutely,
is on. Okay.
absolutely,
As long as you know that part.
Don't be expecting millions and you know they got like $50 in the bank. It's not.
But every relationship is not reciprocal though.
No.
No,
Because
that's true.
Because there's gonna be
Very
some
true.
instances where we're pouring into that person.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we might be the bigger person. You know what I'm saying? Like we might be a mentor. We might be on assignment.
Yeah.
So
I
it's
would
critical
say,
to.
that wouldn't even be something that's classified as a friendship. I mean, if it's a situation where a person's coming to you more so as a, you know, as an authority, where you know you can see the grace over that situation that God has called you to lead this person, you know, that becomes more so, you know,
Like a mentor.
more
Yeah.
like a
Nah,
mentor,
you're right,
authority
you're right.
type figure, you know.
But there are some friends though that
That need more
Have like
mentoring.
mentor.
exactly
Yeah.
like they might
absolutely.
need more
Guidance.
Guidance is the word. Yeah.
Now, in the grand scheme of things, we would love reciprocity to be given, you know, equally. Unfortunately, that is not always the case. I am not friends with you because I'm looking for you to do something for me. I'm friends with you because I do believe that God has called us for such a time as this. And if I happen to benefit from the friendship, that's amazing. It's awesome. But sometimes I'm there just for support, and vice versa. Some of my friends are there just for support, and it just depends on your season. I'm not big on reciprocity. People will tell you that you can't find another Crystal. You can't. You know, I'm one of a kind. Okay, I'm one of one. You will never find another, and it's how it should be. But I don't look for people to do things for me because I'm doing things for them.
So my expectations for my friends, there are none. If I'm being completely fair with you, the only person I've really learned at this aspect of my life I can truly expect something from wholeheartedly is God. I can have boundaries that I can make sure that I communicate. I have needs of that friendship that I can make sure that I communicate, because that's very, very important. Like, if you know your love languages, make it easier for your friend to be able to talk to you how you receive communication, not just how they're used to talking, you know what I'm saying, and vice versa. But as far as like expectations, like, you know, I expect you to be, people go like, I expect you to be there for me when you know, we talk about reciprocity all the time. I expect you to be there for me because when you was going through that, I was there for you. That's not how it goes. It would be incredible if they can be there for you, if they can extend that grace, if they extend that time and that patience. But if they can't, you gotta make grace. You have to make margin for error. It can't be, you didn't reciprocate my love when I gave it to you, so now we can't be cool no more. That's just not how it works. Imagine if we was just like, you know, yeah, God, like, I'm expecting this from you. My man's just like, well, didn't I tell you to just low-key obey my 10 commandments and everything will be prosperous unto you? Yeah. How's that going? So it's like, oh dang, you got me. So yeah, I don't really expect too much. The best I can do is just state my needs, make sure we implement proper boundaries. Let me just have an overall sense of just respect. I respect you as an individual. Respect me as an individual. Simple.
No, I have expectations of my friends,
Hey, let's go.
especially like the ones that I feel the closest to, you know, and it's not a lot of them. It's loyalty, it's respect, and it's understanding. Or AKA grace. Yeah. Those are really the three for me. Loyalty, I think that I shouldn't say it goes without saying, because how we all view it is different.
Yes.
How we all interpret loyalty is different, because I've had some friends who feel like I'm being disloyal based on their measurement of it, and I'm like, that to me is not disloyalty. That's your feeling around it, and I can respect that, which is why I say respect is important.
Yes.
And then grace, because I know I'm going to get it wrong sometimes, intentionally, mostly unintentionally. But I'm going to get it wrong, and I don't want you to just chop my head off, disrespect me, or determine that you can't be friends with me because of that.
Are those expectations communicated, or is it kind of like understood?
No. Those are communicated. And a lot of my friends, I don't really have any new friends at the moment. And when I say new friends, most of the people that I call friends have been my friends for at least 3 years. And so we've been able to spend time with each other. And I think it doesn't always look like, hey, you signing up to be my friend.
Yeah, that's what I was going to
I
ask.
need loyalty.
That's how
Respect. No, a lot of times it comes through way of conversation. Sometimes it's telling a story, a real story. You know, I'm not like trying to set them up and see what they gonna say, but just through story. You know, you hear them say something and you're like, huh. That's interesting. Well, let me be clear.
Yeah.
That would not work with me. You know, I had a friend tell me one time, her and her friend dated the same guy, and they were okay with it. And I was like, well, let me clarify. That would never work for me. And if that's ever something you want to do, just let me know so we can go ahead on. And I'm not gonna have grace for that love. I'm just not. That's not where I'm at with it. So you either learn by way of conversation or you learn by watching them. You can get a really good sense of the type of person they are if you watch how they treat others, if you watch their relationships with the other people in their lives. So
for men, I think it's simple. For men, I think the one key expectation that we all have as men is just respect. You know, like off rip. It's like, if you my bro, like, don't disrespect me. You know, like, don't say anything that I feel would be disrespectful, and vice versa. I'm not going to do that for you. But then I have been in situations with friends where I feel like, to the point you were asking, you said, are those expectations communicated? I've been in situations where them joints was not communicated till after the fact, like after the damage or after somebody's feelings were hurt, and they were like, well, I expected you to be there for me, or I expected you to like check on. I'm like, bro, like, that was never communicated. Like, I didn't know that that's how you receive that's how you needed to receive that type of love. But now that I see on the flip side that, like, it pisses you off when I don't do this, like, now as your friend moving forward, I'm gonna try to, you know, move accordingly, or, you know, try to adapt to, you know, the type of love that you need to be receiving. But I mean, a lot of times I don't think it's real. I mean, from my experiences, I haven't been in many experiences where it's been communicated until after some type of damage or somebody has felt disrespected. I think God's expectations for our friendships, just off of what I know, the word love is mentioned so deeply and so often in scriptures. I can't quote the scripture off the top of my head. We talked about this before. I don't want to just be rambling about what scripture it is, but there's scriptures that talk about that, you know, love is, like, at the end of the day, that's the only thing that matters. Like, you could have all of the riches, you could be able to speak in all these languages, you could be able to do anything. You could have faith that can move mountains, but if you don't have love, you don't have anything. So I think that when it comes to your friendships, I think that's the one thing that will stand the test of time. Like, and we talked about hurt, we talked about healing, we talked about forgiveness, we talked about grace. The only way we could really do that with our friendships is to be able to if you really love them. So I think, you know, when you think about the expectations of relationships, friendships with your parents, siblings, whatever it is, I think that love is the one thing that always sticks. So I think if you don't have anything else, you know what I'm saying, I think that's the one thing that matters the most.
Yeah. I agree. I feel like love is like the nucleus of the thing,
For sure.
right? And like, if you don't have that, then it's like, how do you thrive? How do you live? I think that love makes things easier too, right? Like, we have this deep love for God. And so while we may not always like what he does, when he does it, and how he does it, we're not about to just be like, Lord, all right, we done. And even when we do, because of our love for him, we go back, right? And so I think that love has to exist in our relationships, that you have to love somebody enough to want to do the hard work. You got to love somebody enough to want to give them grace. You got to love somebody enough to be transparent. You got to love somebody enough to be, you know,
That's good.
confidential and share and all
real.
that. Like, you just got to have love.
Yep.
Love is patient, love is kind.
That's
love is
it.
That.
That's
Yeah.
it.
long suffering.
And that's the difficulty in love.
That you were talking about.
Yeah, love is difficult
yeah.
sometimes, and it can be something that doesn't take us through the test of time, unfortunately. But love is so essential because it is the kitchen where Big Mama cooked at, and everybody ate the food, and it's the place where you can depend on the one who you can call and say, hey, you know, I'm really going through this. And all they do is show you love. They may not give you advice. They may not show you a different path to go, but all they know to do is just love up on you, hug you, tell you how great you are, and, you know, try to keep you in a hope-filled situation or mind frame. But definitely love conquers all. It's the one thing that's the magnet back to God and to people.
Right.
So I definitely think love is essential. It is the core that we all need. It is where we relish the most. It's where we find divine healing. It's where we see the goodness in people. I mean, we all got evil spirit in us. We all sinful, right?
What does sacrifice look like in friendships? This is so hard because, again, it speaks to what we were talking about earlier in regards to, you know, being depleted. It's so hard to balance the two because of that love and what we have for that other person. Sometimes you can lose yourself. Is that what Christ is calling us to? Like, I don't know. Like, I know sometimes our heart is just so huge, it's so big, and we want to pour into them. And then for me, like what I struggle with, the savior complex. I'll sacrifice myself to help this person. And what I learned a few years ago was that it was building my ego to be able to say, I helped that person. I helped them out of this.
That's good.
Because of me. Which it was really Christ through me.
There you go.
But it took some time, some maturity to understand that. So, like, sacrifice is a tricky thing for me personally. Because it's so hard to, one, again, lose yourself, but also look in the mirror and see how you're losing yourself, like, and what is it, like, a correlation with? Like, is it for me? Is it for the other person? Like, am I sacrificing it for my glory?
I mean,
Or am I really trying to help the other
point,
person?
though, I think sacrifice is essential to a degree, right? Like, Jesus went on the cross and he sacrificed his life for us, but look what we gained, right? Like, now we have the right to the tree of life, and now we have the right to breathe every day and to live and all of that. And we have the right to what he's destined us to and purposed us to. So I think sometimes sacrifice is essential. Sometimes I have to, you know what, friend, we was going out to eat and it's my favorite restaurant, but Crystal called me and she having a hard time. And even though I ain't been to this restaurant in forever, and Rhonda said she was going to pay this time, I got to go see about Crystal. So I'm sacrificing what I want in that moment to go do what God has assigned me to do over here. And that's to be there for you, you know?
I vibe with that.
Have y'all played sports?
Yes.
Everybody play sports?
Yeah.
Ran track.
Dang, I was hoping we was all on the bus.
Me and Keon with team.
Does cheerleading count?
Yes.
That's a sport. That's a sport.
All right, cool. So I genuinely believe that God gave us sports in the physical to see how our relationship is supposed to be in the spiritual with each other. I mean, I don't know what level of sports y'all went to, but like when you go to college level, for some strange reason, you're waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Child, it'll take you out.
And team lift, bro, it'd be the death of you. I mean, we got morning practice, we got film together, we got freaking first breakfast together, we got lunch, we got the second workout, we got conditioning.
Don't forget study hall.
Bruh, like that's after the third practice and after the third film. So it's like, I do believe that sacrifice is very essential. But how you can tell between it being godly sacrifice and it being worldly sacrifice is if the sacrifice is mutually beneficial to our end goal and vision. It's like with sports, it's like at the end of the day, I'm not trying to lose. Like when they used to ask us the question all the time, do you love to win or do you hate to lose? I know glory is going to get me just because it's me, but I hate losing because of the disappointment of the people that poured into me, that came to see the game, that bought the merch, that did these weird cookie sales with this booster team. So it's like,
That's good, bro.
But I mean, essentially, like one sacrifice has to strive towards purpose. So I mean, that's one dude falls on the ground, we pick him up. One dude is in his head at the crib, he can't get his playbook right. Like, hey, bro, I ain't going out tonight. Like, I got you. I'm gonna hold you down. Sometimes it's about being able to just die to yourself. Do I want to wake up at 4 o'clock? No. Is it gonna help my team get better and I'll have to win? Yes.
What about that friend that keep asking for money?
Oh, for money?
And you sacrificing your check?
See,
See,
in
you
this
gotta
system,
have those
I'm gonna
boundaries.
be. That's
Yeah.
100% discernment. Or when I give this, I can't expect it back.
Yes.
That's
That's my hard
committed.
rule.
Yeah.
Because that's where
I
that'd
don't
be
give
that
out
evil
money
side
that I
of
want
that'd be
back.
the evil side of reciprocity where it's like, oh, all right, well, like, you know what I'm saying, like, hey, hit this, all right, hit this 20, all right, hit this 20, all right, hit this 20. You get to a point in time where you're not helping a person, you're enabling a person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
You're
saying?
being
Money-
a disservice at
Yeah.
Money don't
That's
fix
true.
money problems. I used to hate that term. Like, it don't. That's a discipline and a stewardship situation. That's
sure.
something that needs to be taken to prayer. Like,
That's
okay,
wisdom.
God, like, he gave me this 40, but am I taking this 40 and spending on something that's pleasing to you? Or am I taking this something that's 40 that's going to help, ease my flesh?
Nah,
You know
real.
what I'm saying? You don't want to contribute towards a habit like that because then God turns the blind eye for them and turns it on you.
I see sacrifice as compromise, and I don't think you can have any relationship without that ebb and flow. Like, there are times, because I expect it too. Like, there are times where I might be asking you of something that I know you're gonna have to flex and bend and go out of your way to be there for me, but I never want to be a burden. So sometimes it's actually hard to be in that position
Yeah.
of needing support.
asking.
It's hard to be there, but that's the reality of a relationship.
I think it's intriguing that I feel women are way better communicators than men.